How's everyone doing? I'm Dusty. That's Tony. Had a little technical difficulties living out here in the countryside. The internet was not cooperating with me. How are you doing, Tony?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a minute, right?
Do I know? It seems like it's been what 2-3 weeks? It's probably been 3 weeks at this point since we've done a show.
At least, I mean, it was before the newborn, obviously, so that was sometime in May, but glad to be back. Got to kick it up here soon now that we're rolling into the dead season and football coming up here, what, 2 months? So not bad at all.
Yep, yeah, it'll be coming up, man. Yeah, that's. I don't think we told anybody on here about the new addition to your family. We did say that you had a big a surprise for the fans of Bengals Army if you wanted to share that, but we figured we'd keep that under wraps for you to discuss.
No, it's all good, man. We added another girl to the family, so I appreciate everyone's support and it's been good, man. Obviously a big struggle with two kids, but we're learning every day. So I'm just glad to have some energy back to be able to do a show and talk football.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. I having one kid's pretty intense. Having two, especially two young ones, that's
It's
be exhausting.
it's a lot, man. I mean, I didn't, and I'm still learning, right? Every day you kind of learn, but I'm sure all the other people out there that have more kids than me or have two kids or more can attest to this. But it's a big step up from one kid to two, but we're learning every day. So
Yeah, I feel you. Dude, I had allergies going on today, and just had this allergy medicine, and I don't even know what brand it was. Knocked me out. It was like Benadryl or some shit, man. I got up, was like, man, I'm pretty stuffed up, and Jess went to the doctors to see about if she had strep because she wasn't feeling too good, and she came back, everything was good with her. So I'm like, man, hopefully I don't have stress because I have a bachelor's party this weekend, and I was like, well, hopefully it's just sciences. Took the science medicine, and bro, I literally was out until 8 o'clock tonight. It was 7. It was like 7:50 something, in which I work nights, but normally on my days off, I would get up around 1 or 2 o'clock.
yeah.
But not today. I woke up at like 10:30, I think, in the morning, and kind of hung out for a minute, sat down, and was just out until 8. And I went to bed probably at like 2:30 last night. I slept for like 2 full days almost. So I'm a little tired. A little tired in
Sound
these
like me
eyes.
overseas on my days off, man. No, I feel you, dude. I had bronchitis actually a week and a half ago. So I had a
Oh,
new child, another child, and I had bronchitis. So it was just like a huge mess over here, but we're good. We're good now. I hope you feel better, man. I know allergies kick a lot of people's butt, and Aubrey gets the
yeah,
same thing. It's just it's tough. I don't get allergies, so I feel for you
yeah.
guys.
Nice. Yeah, we have some people cutting some hay out by us, and then my in-laws who live right by us, they just got their hay cut. So yeah, I've been doing pretty good. And then man, when I woke up, it just hit me, and I was like, I'll be all right. I got a bunch of stuff I want to do today. I'll take this medicine, and no, it was like I was like, is this Benadryl? What the hell is this? She's like, no,
Other
it's
plans, other
yeah.
plans.
It was just some cheap off-brand Dollar General because we didn't go to town, and she picked it up yesterday, and she was
Yeah.
planning on going to the doctor's if she didn't feel better. It was a little later, and she grabbed it, and I was like, whatever. Nope. So that is what it is, man. What are we gonna talk about? What's the plans here? What are we
Well, I
going
think
to?
first and foremost, we need to address the just the instant reaction, right? T signing the deal for a year. I think we all. I mean, I don't know. I'll share my public opinion on it. I think that was going to happen regardless. I thought it
Mhm.
was just kind of posturing by him and his agent trying to see if they would bite at maybe another deal. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, dude, I like that it got signed now and not later. I think that's
Mhm.
best for the team, not wait until you know season's basically here and all right, deals getting that in my opinion doesn't benefit anybody. Like I think most people know T's going to get paid. He's going to sign the contract. Like
Yep.
he's not going to sit out a year and then still have to fight it the next year. It's just it's not worth doing. So why not be there with the team? grind it out through the summer, get better with your quarterback, and set yourself up for a big year. Hopefully he does. Hopefully he has a great year. T, and you guys know how I feel about him. I love T. So
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of goes back on. We're not gonna hit on this like we do every freaking show, but I think they're way better with him. I think they have the ability to pay him as the salary cap increases. Maybe they're trying to kick the can down the road to next season when the
yeah,
salary cap goes up again. I mean, that's always something we haven't really brought that up, right? Maybe kicking the can down the road to get that salary cap increase to be able to retain him and Jamar the way we want him to. But just my instant reaction was like classic Bengals move. They're just gonna sign him for a year and see where we go from there. But I just catwalk. I don't see the receiver room right now having a replacement for him. I don't see this team stronger without him. I think if he can keep that core together, it makes the team better, and certainly they can afford it. It's just a matter of how we put that together. So
yeah. Ross says T isn't afraid to go up the middle. That says a lot. Yeah, I mean, I think it was against the
True.
Chiefs a couple of years ago. It was a big third down play. If we convert that, we seal the win. And T was the guy for that for Joe to go to, and got us the first down that sealed it. I believe it was against the Chiefs in 21. That it was the second to last game. Then we got Big Marshall with a Who Day. What's up, Marshall? Appreciate you guys.
and I agree with Ross's comment on need to start with a win against the Patriots. I agree because the year we did well in 2021, going to the Super Bowl, we started the year off with a strong win against Minnesota. So
Mhm.
I think if we can avoid that slow start, not to kind of shift the topic here, but if we can avoid that slow start like we've had the last couple of years, I think we're going to be in a good position because they went 9-8 without Joe half the season, right?
Yeah.
I think they have every reason with a last place schedule to do better. The Patriots, I think, are in the lower third of the league right now. They're starting their rebuild, so you got to get a win against a team like that.
Yeah. I think that would be good for us too. You expect they're going to have a good defense. Offensively, who knows what that's going to look like, but we got a high powering offense, so that'll be a good test for us right off the rip. Show us what that new offensive line is going to look like altogether. I did see Trent Brown was there. Did you see that?
Yep, I did see that, and he looks good. Yeah, he looked good. He looks big.
Yeah, dude. Think how big those guys are. Like that's just hard for me to really wrap my brain around. Like just three guys, 6'8", 340, 360 pounds. Like that's crazy, bro. That's some big men. And when you say big like that, like they're athletic, like they're big, but they're moving and running and pushing, and that's they're athletes. It's hard to be that big and be an athlete, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, but I think you're going to see a lot of these defenses switch up the way they go against Cincinnati, right? They're not just going to test the tackles now; they're going to test with a lot of stunts on the defensive line to try to test those guards because they know that Volson's probably the weaker spot on that line now.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to test a lot with switching up defensive ends side to side and doing a lot of inside stunts. I see that as something to kind of get around those two big tackles.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, man. Ted Karras did an extension. I almost forgot about that. And then we talked about the interior. So we'll have Teddy for this year and next year. So that's big for us. Hopefully, I'm excited to see that kid, that 7th round pick, Matt. I forget his last name, Matt something.
Mm-hmm.
That dude was. I think he was rated like number 1 at his position. So he was a top center. Just his size meaning fall real low. So that could be a steal. Hopefully Ted, I think everyone has a lot of good things to say about Ted and, what he is to the team, like type of teammate he is and leader. I think there's a real good chance that guy could at least learn a lot and make the team. Because we don't really have a whole lot of depth on that interior O-line. That guy's more of, I think he's just a center. Like he's not big enough for any guard. Like he's just going to be a center, but you gotta have quality depth and good depth. I don't care. Give him a roster spot if he's deserving of it, and you see him as a guy that 3 years down the road, you have a 7th round pick in him. Like you're not taking a higher mid-round, third-round pick at center or a Billy Price situation.
Yeah, for sure. And you can never have enough lineman depth on your roster, right? You've got to have tons of linemen. I think the league's proved time and time again over the course of a season where guys get injured and you have to move things around. I mean, Cleveland's a great case study at that, right? How many people get injured on that offensive line year after year, and they just plug and play other guys to be able to chug through the season. Now you get a 2-year runway with a guy that you drafted in the 7th round, who I believe was a really good value pick in the 7th round, to try to see what this guy can become over the next couple of years while he's learning from a proven vet, right? I mean, that's the ideal scenario for any rookie coming into the league. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna. I hope for big things out of that guy, man. It's cool to see Teddy get another year on that deal. That Cincinnati wants to keep him around. He means a ton to the team at the same time, being a veteran. How many years he has under his belt? They're like, hey, we've drafted your replacement. Hopefully, we've drafted your replacement. But in the case where this guy just doesn't pan out, we can pull that trap door. We've got another year out of you. So.
Yeah. Did you see another rookie, Josh Newton? Did you see him walk down old Chad Ochocinco?
I saw a preview of it. Didn't see a whole lot out of it, but yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was a funny clip of it. I like that. I just love seeing Chad there, man. He just brings the energy up, the vibe of the guys. Like it's just and to see ex-Bengals like coming in, you know, like Big Willie and stuff. There's guys coming in to mentor the kids is a lot of fun. It shows that brotherhood. Burton. So Burton mentioned in an interview that like when he got there, he thought, you know, he was going to be like a freshman all over. You know, he was going to get there, everyone was going to, you know, kind of dog him a little bit, or he'd be like, "Oh, hey, what's going on, man?" And people would just kind of give him the cold shoulder and just whatever. But he's like, you know, the vets here super respectful, and there's a bond. And him talking about that, like, oh, I like that. I like that in a culture. Not it just kind of goes like to the Army too, like how, you know, sometimes you get new guys in, and it's all about the leadership and how they want to mentor them. That can make a big difference. I was never one. I don't think you was either. That kind of pushed new guys off and treated them crappy. You know, it's always good to mentor them people. So I love to see the Bengals picking up that philosophy and not being that old school, just treating these guys like dirt and making them earn their stripes. You know what I mean? It's good, but.
Well, it has. I mean, I think him training with TJ too has a lot of influence there. I mean, TJ obviously a huge influence on the Cincinnati Bengals over the years. So I think that had a little bit of pull, and you know his pedigree. Burton coming from Alabama, I think we've seen a lot, right, where an Alabama player pans out really well in the league. So just that pedigree coming from the SEC. Cincinnati loves Big Ten players, they love SEC players, and they love their Clemson players. So I think it's him coming from there. It's going to have some pull. But real quick, how insane is it that Cleveland has not won a division since 1989? It is insane because I think they have just as much talent as anybody else in the league. Granted, last year they did it with a kind of pieced together roster and no quarterback outside of Joe Flacco. So I think they're dangerous and they could easily win a division over the next few years. You know, the AFC North is just, as you're well aware, Dusty, we've seen it every year. That's a huge division, very physical, it's hard to win. It usually comes down to the last game or the second to the last game of the season where we find out who wins. So Cleveland has every reason to believe that they can win just like Cincinnati can.
Yeah, dude. When I seen that and clicked it, I was like, 1989, bro. That's crazy. I didn't think it was that long ago. I guess that was before either of us were alive.
I wasn't even an amoeba yet. I wasn't even a cell. I wasn't even a thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 2 years away. Two years, man. That's pretty wild. Just a reminder, guys, we do have the link pulled up. It's at the top. So if anybody wants to jump on for a minute, 5 minutes, give us some thoughts, just hit that link at the top. It's in the comments. And then we'll pull you up. You can voice some opinions and get some face-to-face interaction if you guys are wanting to do that, or just keep the
That's something
keep
cool.
that going.
Promise people can hop in and comments or some questions.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know if it's. Do you hear that in the mic?
I hear interfere. I'm on my headphones too, so I hear you better. But um, so just real quick, going waiting. You hear me now?
Yeah, but I just muted you and then unmuted. It didn't seem to work.
Real quickly, while I just kind of glance over the first few games of the season, we haven't really dove into the season. I'm sure when Chris comes back, we're going to. But just my initial thoughts: 1, 2, 3. You've got a lot of winnable games here at the beginning of the season, man. Outside of the Chiefs, obviously, week 2 is going to be a really difficult test. But when you're talking about Patriots, Commanders, Panthers, Giants, all within 6 games. I mean, that's 4 games I see where you could easily win if you just put it together. You've got Ravens and Chiefs, which are going to be 2 early season measuring sticks. And then obviously you play Browns, Eagles, Ravens again, Chargers, Raiders. I think these are good, easy games. And when I say easy, obviously I mean relative, but winnable games for this team early in the season where they can go through the first 6 or 7 games with a winning record, as opposed to starting off like 1-3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who is the week 3? That's the Ring of Honor game. Who do we play week 3?
Week 3, we play the Commies.
Okay, yeah, that's who it is. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sunday
I
Night
could
Football.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game to go to, man. I think that might be the game I hit up is that week 3 game.
You let me
It's
know.
always
We'll
fun
hit up
going
a
to the
lot more
Raiders.
again.
Yeah, we'll get with the McKenzies and have a good time. I hit up Aaron and told him he's got to hop on soon. He's like probably in like a month or so. So we might see the McKenzies back on here pretty soon. Hopefully, I'll have to reach out to Pat and see if he wants to do it again. But I know Aaron was wanting to here in about a month.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think this time around though, I'm gonna like pull the truck up, actually have like a proper grill and like cook food, not just have like some makeshift backpack of like snacks and crap. I think I'm actually gonna like set this up to where I'm actually tailgating. So
Yeah, that's how when me and my stepdad went. We parked right by Aaron and Pat, and it worked out great. Like we had our cooler, our food, and everything, and obviously they do a great job too. So it's it was fun. It worked out great. Hopefully we can do something similar to that. Ross liked that, the Washington Commies.
dude, hey, listen, you didn't hear it from me. Everyone else on the radio is saying that too. So I'm just repeating. I'm just the messenger here. Okay.
So, what are we thinking of that wide receiver room? It's looking like it's really shaping up to be real solid with Andre Yosavash and obviously Jermaine Burton. I think Chuck Sizzle's got another gear that he's gonna climb into. That's always a fun discussion, but since the wide receivers are really starting to get, we're starting to hear a good bit more, especially with Andre, that he's looked like he's gotten bigger. He's put a little more size on, and you're hearing a lot of people are saying a lot of good things for this kid. So, how you feel about the wide receiver room? I think that's probably the best room on the team for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's well, we all want to see these guys take a step, right? I think Charlie Jones needs to take a huge step. I want to see Yoshi Vosh actually step up as a wide receiver 3 for that TB replacement. To your point, he put on some size this offseason. I've heard he's looking really good. Like I think he could be really good. The ideal scenario for me would be Chase, T, Yoshi Vosh, Burton, wide receiver 4, Charlie Jones in the slot as kind of a gadget player. That would be my opinion if I were to see an ideal room, and then use your two big stars at wide receiver T and Chase is like your okay, we're drawing the defense away, and then you get to guys like Burton and Yoshi Bosch. We just want to be able to see that wide receiver room become more holistic, right? Because every time a guy goes down, you see kind of some erratic play out of this, especially spotty play in that wide receiver room. I want to see more consistency. I think Yoshi Bosch has every reason to be a wide receiver 3.
Mhm.
Could he be a wide receiver 2? Maybe. I need to see more. I think you would agree with that.
Mhm.
But they're the strongest room in the team, and I think it's not close.
Yeah, I think I think Yoshi might be wide receiver 3, but I think Burton is going to have a real strong case that I think those two might be like it's going to be hard to say like, oh, this is 3, this is 4. I think those two are going to be kind of interchangeable. I think where it really comes down to is like Charlie Jones and Trenton Irwin. I think those two are going to somebody's going to beat somebody out for playing time, and I think Ti might be that guy. Joe Burrow trusts him. He's gone to him every opportunity he's had. He's really produced. I think.
Well,
Minus when
he
Tyler
catches the
Boyd.
ball. He catches the
Yeah.
ball. That's why he doesn't drop the ball.
Mhm.
Whenever it's his way, he'll catch it. So guys like Burton and Charlie Jones still have to build that trust from Joe Burrow. That's why you're going to see him get the ball more than anybody else in that wide receiver room from a wide receiver 3 or 4 perspective.
I did hear that Burton was showing up to practice early, and he figured out what time Joe normally gets there at. So during warmups, there was a clip. Might have been James Rapine or one of those guys that posted it, and it was Joe throwing to him just during warmups, and he said that's who I want to be. I want to be that guy. I want to be there. I want Joe to be throwing me the ball, and that's smart, man. That's reputation. That might be a TJ thing in his ear. Like, dude, get in there early, build that trust up with your quarterback, or it could be a mixture between just his own personal outlook of it. But I like a young guy that's coming in like, hey, I'm gonna be early. I'm gonna be available to my quarterback. I want to play. It's kind of like Julian Edelman with
Yeah.
Tom Brady. Like, hey, he might not even pick me to throw with him, but I'll be in the same city as him. I'll travel and go wherever, and be there. So when he wants to throw, I'm throwing.
Well, what do you think the dream scenario for the Cincinnati front office is? Burton becomes a star. He can replace T. They save that money and spend it on somebody else, like a really big name defensive player, a big name, I don't know, offensive lineman again. Like that's the dream scenario for a team. Not that we want to turn and burn players out of the draft, but from a front office perspective, if you don't have to pay 2 receivers max or close to max and become a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, who are paying crazy money, or if they're able to turn Burton into a wide receiver 2 and just be able to plug and play all your other wide receiver 3 and 4s, that's the dream scenario for a front
Yeah,
office.
yeah. And so Waddle got paid too. So there's
Waddle
been a
got
couple
paid
teams.
too. Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple teams that have gone out there. Both those were Alabama kids. So we got ours. So let's see what he does. But I
Well, you hear there all of the people in the back of the room that were screaming that Cincinnati couldn't pay 2 receivers are real quiet now because my Philadelphia are doing it right now and doing it with just 2 other players plus Amon Ross. So you can do it. You value in your team.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you just got to see what positions are weak. Great if Mims works out, that'll be huge for us having that tackle on a rookie deal. We got Orlando Brown locked down for I think another 3 years. Like, so our tackle room could be set up good, and interior O line starting to get paid. But you can find a guy in rounds 2 through 4 that you really feel pretty comfortable in. I think at least adding depth there, and then also we have the center locked up for 2 years in Ted Karras. So, we I don't know defensively. Trey, we got him for. Where's Sam? Is Sam going to depart the same time Trey does?
Say that one more time.
Is Sam Hubbard, is he departing the same time that Trey Hendrickson is?
I believe so.
Yeah, hopefully my internet holds out. Is it starting to do better?
A little bit. A little better.
Yeah, that's lame, man. Out in the boonies. Good view.
Hope it's a circus at quarterback in Pittsburgh. I agree. Do I think it's going to be a circus? No, because Pittsburgh always finds a way to be 9-8 or 10-7 and make the playoffs as the wild card. So I don't care who's a quarterback, be Mickey Mouse. They're going to figure out a way to piece it together and then lose in the first round of playoffs. So I believe in. I've said for a while I believe in Justin Fields. Now I've got to see it. If he's still, not consistent on Pittsburgh, then that confirms to everyone that he's probably not that great. I think Russell Wilson is well past his prime, so he wasn't that great in Denver. They were willing to eat the dead cap to get rid of him. So I don't think they have anything surefire at quarterback. I think they're hoping that Justin Fields becomes that guy, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be a really interesting situation for them. But Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh, just like you said, they're always going to produce. They're going to play. The AFC North's tough. How about the AFC North being in Hard Knocks?
Yeah, different perspective on it. And someone said the two Hard Knocks they won. So something to think about.
Sorry, I tried to mute you again. It was making that weird noise.
All right.
Is it coming across on your end? No. That's weird. I don't know. Hopefully it's not doing that to everyone else. All right. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. It keeps making weird noises, and Anthony's down here, and he says I'm cutting out real bad. Well, thanks for the lookout, Anthony. Hopefully it clears up. Was it doing better earlier?
It was doing okay. Hey, if I have to drive this ship solo, I can sit here and talk to myself all day long. So
yeah, we may have to do that. I might have to get a new provider out here between the one other company that I have. But normally, like I said, normally they do pretty good. So, yeah, hopefully it keeps up. K Breezy says it sounds good now. So yeah, back to Hard Knocks.
I can pull out my inner Scott Van Pelt and solo a show. No problem with that. It's just going to get a little boring after a few minutes. So
yeah, hopefully if it drops me though, it doesn't drop you too. That's my fear.
True.
Is that
back to the Hard Knocks thing? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I do you have HBO? I've watched it before. Mm-hmm. I thought it was an okay show. I hope it's a lot better this year with 4 teams.
Yeah, I haven't watched it since the Bengals were on, so it's been a while. I mean, I've watched like clips and here and there, but yeah, I remember who was that linebacker, that defensive end, James Harrison. Do you remember when he was at the crosswalk and he got in the car with someone like I don't like James Harrison being a Pittsburgh guy and stuff, but he came to Cincy and he was like, oh, okay, cool. Like James Harrison, he was definitely a shell of a version of himself, what he was before. But then during Hard Knocks gets in that vehicle, it was like, man, this guy's a clown, bro.
He was a shell of himself, and it's kind of the same thing as like Terrell Owens on the Cincinnati Bengals, like just a shell of what he used to be. But it was cool to see kind of the last little bit out of him.
Yeah. Yeah, then he went back to Pittsburgh for a year or two, I think.
Yeah, but I think it was a year. Might have been a year.
Have you heard anything about Dax Hill? How he's looking at corner?
Yeah, so I've heard he's been looking athletic and he's been a ball hawk. So
yeah, K Breezy with the child, please. You gotta love Chad, bro. Yeah, hopefully he takes that step, man. That would be a really nice problem to have. I would like to see him beat out DJ Turner just because you spent that first round pick on him, and then you really give him that playing time to see what he is, what he can be. There's obviously a year gap between the two. Maybe give him the shot. Really, whoever's the better player, man. Whoever's the better player, let him let them battle it
They've
out.
taken
But
a they've taken a big bet on Michigan players on that football team, man,
uh,
and I've been really critical. I think Chris Jenkins is going to be awesome, but I've been real critical of that secondary over the last year or so. I mean, they were last in the league in big plays, given up. I think a metric to keep an eye on is they don't give up a ton of points over the last
mhm,
2 seasons. They've never given up a 35-point game over the
yeah,
last 2 seasons. So I still think they have it in them, but I haven't seen it at a DJ Turner yet. He got burnt through the season. Dax Hill has gotten burnt, so I think they're both super athletic. Obviously, I've said my fair share about Brad Robbins, who I think is uh, there's a lot to be left. There's a lot to be desired there as well, right? So these guys got to be take that step and become professionals. I know they can. They're super athletic. I can't do it, but I just want to see it, but the word on the street is they're looking really good, and
yeah,
they're ball hogs. So
yeah. That's they're young, athletic. You know, they're fast, they're quick. Just know be at the right place, the right time, and make the play when the play is to be made. I really think the explosive plays they have to go down because that's not, you know, you can't stay at where they was with them explosive plays, just like in that Texas game. I gotta pull this up real quick. Ross says hanging with Chad Johnson at the AC Marriott bar was the best. Ross, we need to hear that story, man. I'm sure
well,
there's
first of all, I don't want to hear the story, Ross. I want to actually get that invite next time we're smoking cigars with Chad Johnson. That's what I want to see, right?
yeah. Yeah. Don't be selfish, man. Be a pal. Cast out a
I'm a
line
cool
to
guy. Listen, I'm a cool guy. I'm a little awkward, a little weird, but at the same time, I'd love to smoke a cigar and have a drink at the AC with
I
you.
don't like cigars, but I'll hang out though. I'll hang out. I'll have
Hey,
maybe
I don't like
a
cigars
drink or
either, but
two.
that's not the point, Dusty. The point is we're going to be with Chad Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm not a big
Everything
cigar
else,
guy.
man. Everything else is just icing on top. I'll smoke. Also, if that's what it takes, bro, I'll smoke that cigar. Screw it. I'll smoke it, Chad. You know.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Uh,
So you think this defense is going to take a step this year? I do.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the Rankins, I think with the rotation between BJ Hill, Rankins,
Mhm.
um, I think Miles Murphy's going to take a step. I really
Mhm.
think that defensive line as a whole is going to play better. I think all the way up the middle, you know, between our linebackers, we know what our linebackers can do. We're going to take a little bit of the thinking out of it for them with Von Bell back there, getting Geno Stone. So I think all that's going to help up the middle. In Trey, I mean Trey's Trey, man. Trey's a dog. He's going to come out and I think he's going to be blackout Trey. I think he's going to be playing a little pissed off with the way things kind of unfolded. Maybe not with like I don't think he's mad at the Bengals, but maybe just the way he was the way he was portrayed during the whole thing. Like, oh, I want to trade and retired. The whole agent talk. In I think
Mhm.
that might have because he did some interviews and Trey doesn't really ever talk and do interviews, so he wanted to speak on it, clear the air. I think that speaks
Yep.
volumes of him stepping out of his comfort zone and talking about it. So I think in whole, I think they're going to be better. And Miles Murphy, man, I can see Miles Murphy having 8 sacks this year. Like I picture him eight plus sacks. Like he's really got to produce. And I think he's a mixture of Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson with what he can do in the run, also with what he can do with his pass rush. I see some big things for that kid.
Yeah, me too. But I think in a league right now where we see all these rookies show out and we're so eager to get these guys working with production, we've seen a lot of guys over the last few years. I think Aaron Donald is a good call out that took like what a season or two to really get going. I just hope Miles Murphy can do that too. I did not, and I think we all can agree, we did not see that defensive line do really well. And then DJ Reader gets hurt, you've got nothing else back there. If that defense can stay healthy and we can actually get a good defensive line rotation together, so we're not relying on guys like Sam Hubbard on third down, then we're in a good scenario because now Sam Hubbard can go back to being a true run stopper, which is what he is. Trey can play, 2, 3 downs, but we're not milking him to death. And then you got Miles Murphy. Joseph Osai, who I still believe can be a good player,
Yeah.
and then obviously Rankins. So it's going to be a really good rotation. It's just a matter of how they put that together. I don't want to see Cincinnati go back to where they're not being creative, because I think I saw last year where we saw the defense go really basic after they realized they couldn't get these guys to be in position with some more complex defenses. So they played more basic defense. So that means they didn't adjust hardly at all, and then that bit them, especially in the second half.
Yeah. I think McKinley Jackson's somebody I'm looking forward to hearing more about, especially in August when camp's really ramping up, and then through the preseason. I think he's going to be an interesting piece. Because I haven't really heard much about him. Have you heard really anything?
No,
Yeah.
no, I need to key in a little more and see if I hear much. We'll hear a lot more once camp moves along. I mean, we're only in June right now, so
Yeah. So that would be an interesting name. I think the defensive line is going to play much better. I really do. I think the defense as a whole, and going back to that metric, I saw probably the same one with the 35 plus points. It was the Bengals and Kansas City were the only two teams in the past. I believe it was just the past 2 years, maybe 3 years, that haven't gave up 35 plus points. And look where them teams kind of have been the past couple seasons. So I just mitigate these big explosive plays, get off the field when it's third down, get off the field. Let's not have 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s. Let's try to keep it to 3rd and 5. I mean, that's the goal. Like we all know that, but it just seemed like even when we get to that 3rd and 6, it was like, oh, there's a first down. There's a first down. It just, a lot of times it seemed easy for teams to kind of pick us apart.
it didn't seem easy. It was easy because we didn't have any pressure from the defensive line. That stressed the linebackers out, and then now we see Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson not playing well, and we're questioning whether or not they're good players. Like, they're great players. They've shown out for years now. It's the defensive line and the secondary putting too much stress on that linebacker core. So if we need to get more production out of both of those rooms, naturally you're going to get it out of your secondary, adding a guy like Geno Stone and Von Bell back. But the defensive line, it's where it all starts. Front seven for Cincinnati on the offense and the defense, dude.
Trenches, baby. That's you get them big boys down there and get them working and moving. That's I think both sides we're going to be much improved on. I really do. I think having Joe out there too, lining the boys up, is going to make a difference on the offensive line. And overall, both times we were in the AFC Championship game, we were down so many linemen both years going into the Super Bowl with Isaiah Prince and like, dude, what are you expecting for the Bengals to really should have won the Super Bowl with that offensive line? Like, anybody that negates how good that team is overall defensively and Joe Burrow as a whole, imagine being a quarterback that you're playing, man, your offensive line Swiss cheese. Like, there's holes everywhere. I don't know how, as a play caller, you're expected to play with what we had there. These guys, they're pretty much all out of the league at this point. It was bad. It was ugly. Hopefully, K Breezy says Logan didn't hold. That would be on my tombstone.
Actually, I'm gonna hot take this as a Cincinnati fan. The way that he put his arm around the receiver, they're gonna call it every time. So, in the moment, did I agree he didn't hold? And you watch it in real time, does it look like he held? No, and most refs wouldn't call that. But by definition, the way he put his arm around him, a nitpicky ref, especially, I forget like that dude's name. He freaking calls everything in key moments, but they're gonna call it. So it sucks, dude. But in that Super Bowl, I said in the last 2 drives that Cincinnati had, they had to score at least 3 points out of one of those 2 drives to be able to either tie it or win it, and they didn't. So
I don't think in the last 5 drives that game, I don't think we picked up a first down. I think we were 3 and out for there was a 5 period of like no first downs, 5 possession period where we did not get a first down. It was eventually the defense is going to give up something, but that all goes back to that offensive line being as bad as they were. Like, It's hard to make plays, hard to move bodies, and it's hard for Joe to give the receivers time to get open and run their routes. Even if you're running you can't just run screens, you can't just run these quick little corner outs. Like you have to eventually try to stretch the field. But no, I agree with
Ron Torbert. Yeah, no, but what I will put on my tombstone, Dusty, not to cut you off, is T. If they would have just done a wide receiver pass to T, that corner was playing so far off T on that 4th down to end the game. They could have easily picked up 2 yards for a first down and kept the drive going. That I will put on my tombstone. I don't care about Jamar Chase being wide open and Jalen Ramsey falling down. Like we all saw that, and we knew that we can say that until the end of time. But T had a good 8 or 9 yards in front of him. He could have picked up 2. All they had to do was throw the ball to him.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing sucks. Like reliving it and thinking back on it, where you just think it was a bang bang play. Nothing was really called the whole game, and that's the way I like it. Unless it's an obvious you can call a holding call on almost any play. Like honestly, you can you can watch a game in almost any play. You can say, hey, there's a hold there, there's a hold here. Like you gotta eventually let the guys play somewhat, and for it to be the time that it was, the just how much time was on the clock, the importance of the call. I don't think it should have been, especially something that's bang bang, and just let them play, man. That is what it is. But
they did they did want LA to have that Super Bowl, even though they only had 10 fans there. They did want them to have that Super Bowl to show out their fancy new stadium that they put 10 fans in, and then the Chargers come in and they play in front of their 10 fans. They wanted them to have that Super Bowl. But I mean, listen, Cincinnati had every reason to win that game. They didn't. So admittedly, I've never rewatched it one time since that night.
I haven't
ever.
I don't even like watching clips of it. Like, well, I see a clip of highlight. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I just had no real desire to. I've kind of wanted to. There's been times like in the off season, especially last year. I gave it kind of a year, and I was like, I wouldn't mind rewatching it maybe, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It's like watching Old Yeller, you know, like you want to cry at the end, like you know what's going to happen. Like I ain't trying to live through that.
Nah, it was one and done for me. I do the same thing for Ohio State games, like that Georgia game. I've never rewatched it since then. I never will. So
yeah, man. What do you think it's going to take for us to win the division? 13 wins?
To win the division, at a minimum 12 wins. They're going to have to split with Cleveland, wipe Steelers, and split with Baltimore at least. The year we won it, what did we do? We swept Pittsburgh, we swept Baltimore, and we lost both to the Browns. But the second game was meaningless. So
4-2. I think 4-2 in the division. It's got to be 4-2. Like I think 3-3 just opens. There's too many windows open.
It's not going to get it done.
4-2 is a must. In what we talked about last year was the Bengals not winning the AFC North, but winning the AFC, getting that home field advantage. Like that's still, I feel like people have kind of gone away from that. I think that's still in the Bengals ballpark. Just the problem is Kansas City having such a kind of a cake division. You know, it's hard to do that when you have a team that can win 5 out of 6 games, and they're good and talented. But I think, you ever think about what it would be like if the league reorganized the divisions?
I've briefly thought of it. You know, it'd be kind of cool to see Cincinnati play a team. I don't think the measuring stick for Cincinnati, though, is in the AFC. I think it's in the NFC. If they can beat teams like the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Detroit Lions, like the Detroit Lions are the new Cincinnati Bengals of 2021, right? Like the Niners, same thing. The measuring stick is not in the AFC, in my opinion. It's in the NFC. If they can beat teams like that, then we know they can hang. We got a small sample size of it when Cincinnati trotted down to San Francisco and beat them up and down the field. So we know they can do it, right? But they've got to do it consistently. And I don't think I think the toughest test for Cincinnati is going to be out of the NFC, not the AFC. And that's my hot take for the night.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know how the Super Bowl works, so That's interesting.
You want
we
to
do
win.
play
You want to win the Super Bowl. You've got to play the best out of the NFC, right? Every year, the best in the NFC, in my opinion, comes through San Francisco. It comes through Detroit, and it comes through Philadelphia. Those are my three
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah, and we play Philly and the Cowboys, so those will be some interesting games. I think Philly's fairly soon. I think it's the first half of the schedule, I believe, and I think the Cowboys are later.
I'll double check.
So those would be those would be some fun games to get a watch and tune in. So.
Well, inevitably they're going to go to Dallas because Jerry can't possibly versus a small market team. The Eagles are coming to Cincinnati, so that's a good measuring stick. That gives me vibes of the Green Bay game we lost in 2021, the Super Bowl year where we barely lost. It gives me that kind of vibe. So I'm hoping they can put something together. We play the boys, we play the Eagles, and no Detroit, but we play teams like the Titans, the Broncos, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Browns, the Giants. Those are all easy games, in my opinion, or at least lower 50% of the league games where you can win. Yeah, I mean, this is a good schedule, man. Outside of obviously that Chiefs game week 2, where we
But I kind of like playing the Chiefs early. I like playing them early.
Man, I love that late season.
I like it as a fan to get a go and watch it. I like that, but I think for the schedule, both the Bengals and the Chiefs have kind of started slow. So I think that would be like there's no starting slow this year, guys. Like we have to beat the Patriots as a team that we should beat. And sometimes we know how it is. It's hard for the Bengals to beat those teams that we should beat. And so hopefully, we get out 2-0, 2 big wins right off the rip. And then we come to that Ring of Honor game, have a lot of momentum. Like I think in the first 4 games, I'd like to see us at least 3-1. I think that's if we're breaking down the first quarter of the season, 3-1 is I don't want to see us at 2-2. I want at least 3-1. I can see us 4-0, but 3-1 is kind of a must for me.
3-1 going into the Baltimore game at home would be a dream scenario because Giants, Browns, Eagles, Raiders. So that's a dream scenario for me. And I agree. Real quickly, this is kind of off topic, but I was going to state my opinion on this. So Joe, we all love Joe. I love Joe, but I was going to publicly state my opinion on the state of Joe Burrow right now, right? I don't think the key is just protecting Joe. Who just said it in the comments?
Hey, Breezy.
Was it? Yeah.
Wait, no.
It was.
It was Ross. I got it right here.
It was Ross. Yeah, Ross. We have the best quarterback. Just protect him. I agree. He can play at the levels of the best quarterback in the league. However, I don't think the key is protecting him necessarily. And let me state why this is. In 2021, to your point, Dusty, we had a terrible offensive line, and we rode that baby all the way to the Super Bowl. What happened in that season? Joe stayed healthy. My number one key to this team this year is not protecting Joe Burrow. It is him staying healthy. If he can play a full season healthy, then we're on to something. The years he's healthy, he does really well. The years he's not, he's out for the season, half the season. We haven't seen a whole lot out of him, but he keeps getting injured. So to kind of wrap this thing up and put a bow on it, my key is for Joe Burrow to stay healthy, not necessarily just protecting him.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think Joe's been doing a better job of protecting himself. I think after the leg, the calf and stuff, I think he's playing smarter. It just from having his off days, everyone was in panic a couple weeks ago about Joe missing a practice or whatever, and everyone thought, oh, he's supposed to be at practice, he's not at practice, what's going on? But yeah, protecting Joe from himself, giving him his rest days, and making sure like he's taking the rest days. And I think Joe's a smart enough dude. I think he's going to do what's best for him and for the team in general. The wrist, I forget what it was. It was like maybe a month ago when we first saw Joe throw. It might have been longer. That might have been 2 months ago, and he threw like a 50-yard bomb. It might have been Charlie Jones. I can't remember who he threw it to, but just launched this ball, and it was just like, all right, like he's got some zip on it. He's got arm strength. Like I think his arm's looking stronger now than what it was his rookie year. So that's great. But the thing we had in 21 was the explosive plays, man. Like we were so explosive. Like I don't think anybody expected us just to come out. Like I remember week 1, it was Jamar Chase and just boom over 2 defenders, like snags this ball, scores. Like it was like, okay, like man, all right. Everyone was worried about Jamar and his drops and stuff, and thought, oh, there's no white stripes on the football or the whatever the white lines, and so he kind of talked about that, and people were like, man, I don't know, he didn't play for a year, all this stuff, and then we come out and just blowed the doors off people, man. We were explosive. The defense was solid. I think the defense was better than most people thought the defense was going to be. They really took a big step that year, especially some of our younger guys, our linebackers, and Wilson and Pratt. And then Awuzie was really playing. Cheeto played at a top level. Eli Apple was playing way better than what we were paying him for, better than people give credit to him. So I think for us to really do it is control the clock and be explosive. I think with the running back room, everyone loves Joe Mixon, but I think we're set up for in a better position with this team. Like I think Zach Moss, I saw a picture or an interview of him, and man, that dude's traps. The dude is yoked up. He just looks like a bowling ball. Like I think he's going to be able to carry the load. And then Chase Brown, like it's going to be. I like the running back room at this point too.
Oh, I love the running back room, and I think we got stronger in the pass blocking game. We got stronger in terms of explosiveness with Chase Brown. So yeah, it's going to be a really cool season. I think Zach Moss can be that heavy lifter. I compare him more to like a Samaje Perine, just more lengthy and with a better ability to pass block. But and I don't mean to sound like a pessimist with this team, man, but like we all want to see Cincinnati win. We all want to see him put it together and win that Super Bowl. But the key is going to be staying healthy and limiting those explosive plays and controlling the clock. We saw, in my opinion, I saw one complete game out of them last season. It was against the Niners, and that was when they were at their best, and they won the entire game, start to finish. So we know they can do it. I think that's why we all get so frustrated. Now I think this team this year is more talented than last year's team. We've added more players. It's going to shake up the way teams look at us because we're not trotting the same people out there every year. Like we're trotting like half the teams new. So, but they're all good players. So I think we've gotten stronger. If we can stay healthy, to your point, and limit the clock and play our game, we're going to be in a really good situation. But that running back room, yeah, they're going to be really good. I don't know how I see guys like Evans fitting in. Is Evans, Travion Williams? I don't know how I see those guys fitting in, unfortunately. But I see Zach Moss and Chase Brown really doing well this year.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I'm kind of froze. You can't hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Yeah, everything kind of froze on me for a second. The running back room is something I'm looking forward to seeing. Just see how we use our weapons and stuff with Chase Brown. But the thought of Chris Evans, like with the new kickoff rules, that'll be interesting. Maybe we use Charlie Jones instead of Chris Evans. We'll see like where that drop off's at. We'll see where oh shoot. What's the dude's name? The third running back.
Chris Evans. Or Travion Williams.
Travion Williams. Yeah, we'll see where, Travion Williams kind of fits in. I think they keep 3 running backs, so like it'll be a battle between those guys and what they do on special teams, I think. But I think it'll be interesting, Charlie Jones, what he's going to do with the new kickoff rules, if he's going to be returning kickoffs possibly or not. I don't know. Could you see that happening?
I could, as long as I want to see somebody different than Travion Williams picking up the kickoffs. I would love to see a guy like Burton and Charlie Jones back there. I think that would be a really explosive combo to return kicks. Real quickly, K Breezy asked, "Do you think game management will be better with a new offensive coordinator?" Yes, I do think it's going to be better, and I think it's going to be more creative. I think Dan is going to bring an edge to that offense that we haven't seen in a while, and he's got a lot of shiny new toys to be able to make that happen. I think it all goes back to how healthy Joe stays and how healthy this offense stays, because I think that threw a wrench in a lot of the ways that we were able to run our game last year once Joe went down. So, yeah, I mean, I think the sky's the limit with our offense. It's just a matter of how healthy they stay. Um, One quick thing, and I apologize for this being long-winded. One thing that I see a big need for on our offense is being more creative with our personnel sets. So not being so predictable on third down with the same running back, knowing we're going to go into a pass set, not running screens to chase all the time just because it's easy. Being
Mhm.
more creative and pushing the ball down the middle of the field, I think is going to be another thing that I want to see more of that offense, and I think Dan's going to do it.
And another thing we didn't talk about was Mike Gesicki. So we're getting into
True,
the
true.
creative thoughts. We talked to receivers, running backs, our offensive line, but Mike Gesicki is with Joe Burrow back there throwing him the ball. He could have himself a big year. I'm really got big expectations for Mike Gesicki. Hopefully he pans out on this 1 year contract and he goes off and gets paid some money.
I would hope that he stays in Cincinnati longer than a year and doesn't use Cincinnati as a springboard for a big contract elsewhere. That's all I got to
Yeah,
say about that, because I really like T Huddy. I really like Sample in a blocking set, but I don't think either one of them bring a complete tight end to the game.
yeah.
So, and I don't know that Gesicki is a complete tight end either, but he's a really good pass catcher. He's a very athletic tight end. So if we can get that out of him and he can catch the balls that we saw out of guys, I forget what's his name 2 years ago, and then
Yeah,
Uzama as well,
Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst, sorry. If we can get something out of, Gesicki that we got out of Hayden Hurst, and then we've got a really, really promising future at tight end.
Yeah, I agree. And I would really like for Mike Gesicki to stay there too. Obviously, depending on how he's playing and stuff, but to finally have that long term, I think that's what a lot of us wanted with Hayden Hurst. That's what I wanted big time. Was I wanted Hayden Hurst to stay with the Bengals. I liked what he brought to the team and the way he was, the way he produced for us, and his energy levels were just off the charts.
It was the last 2 seasons that I think we were both saying the same thing. I wanted Uzama to stay long term. He went to New York and got the big contract. Didn't pan out. Hayden Hurst goes to the Panthers, gets a big contract. Obviously, something out of his control with his health, where he's not playing right now. So I just want to see a little bit more stability now. It's not uncommon for an NFL team to play musical tight ends just like they play musical running backs all the time. So I'm not totally upset, but when Joe had a consistent tight end, he plays really well. So
Yeah, I really liked Hayden Hurst, man. I would have liked to have locked him down for 3 years. I would have.
yep.
Like you said, you can definitely there's a lot of interchangeable pieces. You can get some guys in pretty cheap, and it makes sense. But it also, I think, would benefit Joe a lot to have the guy. Like, okay, this is my tight end. Like, I trust him. I know what we're about here. Eric All is he's I want to see where his health's at starting the season, obviously. But that could be a dude out of tight end. See how he plays and produce. I forget the guy that we took in the 6th round with that extra pick. I forget what his name is, but he was the guy that went to, I believe, Arizona, and a lot of people got some kind of high expectations for it, especially for a later round pick. But that tight end room is going to be interesting, man. We got a good team, so it's hard to keep everybody, and you never want to see us like draft somebody and then immediately they go and they're released from the team, and you just spin a pick on them, and then a year later they're off the team. Like, that's not an ideal way of success, but it's good to have the depth.
Real quickly, you think Iowa is tight end U?
Were you going to say Michigan?
No, you think Iowa?
Damn it, I'm breaking up.
It's all right.
What did you just say?
You think Iowa is tight end U, not Notre Dame?
I mean, Iowa, Notre Dame. I mean, even Michigan's been tossing some guys out. Like,
Yeah.
there's, I would say Iowa though, but Michigan with Tyler Eifert, the kid from last year's draft, Mike. The heck was his name? He went to the Raiders. Everyone thought we were going to pick him.
Yeah. Who I wanted the Bengals to take. Yeah.
Yeah, when we took Miles Murphy, I forget that kid's name. Michigan's got a guy too. A lot of people were talking about for this year's draft. Would you have liked Kate Bowers, Brock Bowers?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bowers was from Georgia.
Bowers is from Georgia. Yeah, yeah. I was just joking with you there for a minute. Who finishes last in the AFC North? Not Baltimore. Probably Pittsburgh, if I had to guess, just off the rip.
Yeah, I see Pittsburgh. I see Cleveland. I think it's still between the Bengals and Baltimore, but
when healthy, that's my asterisk next to that, because if Cincinnati's not healthy, they're finishing last.
Yeah. Well, I like having Jake Browning, man. I feel like even if Joe has to miss a game, let's say 3 games, I feel like in a 3-game stretch, Browning can get us a win in those 3 games.
Depends who it's against. I mean, we all saw that Minnesota game last year. That was so fun to watch, even though we had nothing really to play for. I don't necessarily think Jake Browning isn't talented. I love his edge. I think it's just his ability to maneuver the pocket and make a play happen. Joe does that time and time again on 3rd down, where he runs for a first down or he manipulates the pocket to be able to get a first down to a receiver. That's something that I didn't see Jake Browning do enough, and why I think that he could win us a game, but I don't see him necessarily right now as a guy that can pull us through the playoffs.
Yeah. And I don't know if I think he could, be a dude that you're going to want to start in the playoffs, but I think in a 3-game stretch, if Joe has to miss a stretch of time like that, I think there's a good chance, we win a game, at least win 1 game with him, and with a favorable schedule, I think, for the most part in 3 games, we get a win or 2 in there with Jake.
Yeah. I mean, he's regarded as the best backup quarterback in the league right now. I think he's better than 25% of the starters in the back half of the league on a good day. It's just his ability to run offense than just what the play call is. A lot of times, I both watched him last year. Love Browning. And I saw a lot of, okay, this is the play we're going to call the play, and we're running. It's where you get a game, they call the play, like, that play sucks. We're going to this play, right? You don't see a lot of that quarterback. I didn't see Browning at all. So if he take a step and do like that, check out of, he reads a defense that's where you're on to something.
Yeah. My internet's still crackling and acting weird, man. Can you hear me fine?
We can wrap it up here soon, if your internet's acting up. So
yeah. I apologize. Hopefully I was everyone could hear me good enough that it wasn't too like crackly and breaking. You could at least make sense of what I was saying somewhat. But yeah, I feel like we covered a lot of stuff, man. I know with the season coming up, it's really coming quick. It's already halfway through June, man. We're coming up on August quick and coming up in September in football season. I don't know if I like it a whole lot because I like my summers, but you always look forward to fall and hunting and all that. It's exciting time. Summer through fall is always great, but yeah, we'll be putting out some more stuff. Hopefully, get back on that train once a week with some shows, and definitely appreciate everybody in the chat. We had a lot of familiar faces out there. a couple new ones. So we appreciate everybody and their feedback and their comments. Helps the conversation go along. It's always fun to talk to everybody. Any closing thoughts, Tony?
No, man. I'm looking forward to getting back to a normal schedule with this. Appreciate everybody out there on comments and tuning into us. I know sometimes the conversation is left and right, but we appreciate it. And then, real quickly, this is my challenge to everybody out there that's listening. You will catch this smoke on the new NCAA 25 and the new Madden game. I will be on Xbox. I will be playing. So if anybody wants to catch the smoke, I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Let them have it, bud. Represent for us. All right, man. Who day, everybody, and thanks for joining us.